Well, welcome once again to Return to Israel. I'm Anthony, and I'm very honored to have with me my good friend and co-host, Sam Solomon. I want to just start out by expressing how that God works on both ends at the same time. We know that. And as I was being led by His Spirit in concerns to what is God's plan of redemption here in Israel, and was sovereignly led to the movement that is bringing redemption, the sovereignty movement, I come to find out as well that God was moving here in Israel. And there's some amazing things that are taking place. And that's where, Sam, I'd like to have you tell our audience what God was doing in your heart as you began to realize what is taking place in the Christian community and what you were learning about them, and how that was developing in your heart in preparation for what was our eventual meeting and our forming this Amutah of Return to Israel.
Absolutely. First of all, it's a real pleasure and honor to work with you and be a team, a partner in this entire development and the revealing of the promises and development of the state of Israel.
Amen. Thank you.
And the connection both to Jews and Christians of how this is really going to work. So I really appreciate that. It's tremendous. I come actually from a very ecumenical background. My father, besides being an Orthodox rabbi, had a doctorate in Christian theology. And so there was always a lot of ecumenical oriented work going on in the home. But there was always this issue, this nagging issue in my mind about whether or not for me to be quote unquote saved, and that's a typical view that many Jews have, that the idea is saving comes through replacement. In other words, that I have to give up my Jewish faith in order to have Christian faith in order for me to be saved. And as I started to develop a relationship with Anthony and other what are sometimes called pre-Constantine Christians, but what I call really authentic Christians around Jesus as the Mashiach, as the Messiah, looking at that as a connection to its Jewish roots, I started to learn about Christians who really care about the Jewish people because they see that as a fulfillment of promises, not as part of a stepping stone to either the ultimate end of days or some other type of redemption process that actually does not fit within Jewish tradition. And so that connection to you through that really had a tremendous impact. I just mentioned to you the other day, one of my dear friends, I didn't realize that he was actually thinking all along that he was going to somehow save me. And there's some basis of the friendship in saving me, and I didn't want that. I wanted a friendship based on real equality between us. And that's what I have found with Christians who really see the revelation here in Israel as part of both a development and flowering of the Jewish faith as well as the Christian faith.
Amen. So when you learned that the faith of Christianity predated Constantine, then you begin to understand some things in a different light. That when I was approaching Nadia and Yehudit, that was a preparation for then what would follow afterwards.
Right. So I've been involved with the sovereignty movement here in Israel for a number of years under the tutelage of Nadia Matar and Yehudit Katzover, and remarkable ladies with tremendous, doing everything, by the way, out of a spirit of volunteerism. This is not something they're not paid executives. This is something they know they needed to do to help the people of Israel and the state of Israel to achieve full sovereignty, both over the land that we have today, which has its complications, but more importantly, the land that really is the biblical heartland of the state of Israel, the biblical heartland of Christianity and Judaism, and that's Judea and Samaria. I like to say that King David never sat in Tel Aviv in the Hilton Hotel. He sat in Hebron. He traversed Shiloh. He was in Bethlehem. I mean, that's where all this developed. Bethlehem is Beit Lechem, is the house of bread. I mean, that's what it's Jewish, right. It's Hebrew. It's all part of our authentic connection as an indigenous people to this land. And so Nadia and Yehudit already were starting this whole sovereignty movement, but they themselves did not focus at all on the Christian community and how important that can be in supporting the sovereignty movement, because there's very similar desires on the part of Christians like yourself to see the fulfillment of the promises, and that fulfillment involves Judea and Samaria being under Jewish Jewish control, Israeli Jewish control. Hence that natural connection of sovereignty between what Nadia Yehuda were doing within the Women of Green movement for sovereignty movement and what you were doing with Return, O Israel.